Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Organizing Untold. My name is Sierra Hamilton, and I'm your host of this podcast. Again, this podcast is here to help busy business owners and those who work 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. become confident with organizing. And so, just a quick tip at the beginning of this episode. Once you get to the description box of the episode, you'll see a couple of resources related to organizing. So be sure to check those out. If you're looking for other ways to find more organizing tips, or if you're looking to get more information on organizing services, check out those resources below. Or if you're watching this from Facebook or LinkedIn, check it out in the caption area above the video. So we'll get started with today's episode. We have a guest for today. Her name is Barbara. And thank you, Barbara, for joining in for today's episode. I do want to give you the floor to talk about who you are and what you do.
Okay. Thank you, Sierra, for having me on here. So my name is Barbara. I'm a data analyst at United Healthcare, and I've been in my current role for about a year and a half now. So I went to school for my master's in public health. Have a public health background. I was an epidemiologist at a local health department. So right now I'm not really working in the public health realm anymore, but it's still, health related, and I enjoy what I do. So yeah, that's more about what I do. Who I am. I'm Haitian. I grew up in Haiti, and I moved to the US when I was 6 years old. And from there, I lived in South Florida and then moved up to Orlando for school, which I'm currently still in Orlando. I have five siblings, so it's a lot of us. I, yeah, that's pretty much it about my like my background. But in my spare time, I would say I enjoy cooking. I enjoy doing yoga and just exploring new things, trying out new restaurants and things of that sort.
Love it. Well, thank you for taking the time to let us know who you are and what you do, sharing more about your background of where you're from, where you're located now, and what you do in terms of your career and just in life, what you like to do as well. When it comes to like just your life overall, how would you say organizing plays a part in helping you get to where you are today?
I would say organizing has been like a big part of my life since I was younger. I don't know, just I love organizing. Like I know that may sound like, like people like who likes organizing, who likes, but I actually really enjoy it. Like I remember when I was younger, like I used to like organize my siblings' closets. Like I was the person, like if anything, like if they needed help or anything was a mess, like I was the one who, like I actually enjoyed organizing like their clothes, putting their shoes, like just finding ways to make it work for them. And as well as like the kitchen, the cabinets, like I've enjoyed organizing since I was younger. And like even now, like within my home, like I have people come over like, oh, your place is so organized, like how do you keep up with it? And it's just been something that I feel like is like it's important to me, because when I feel like when everything is organized, like my mind is organized, like I can focus better, and I can like it just makes things easier. Like for example, if I'm like choosing an outfit to go
Mhm.
somewhere, like if everything is in its place, like I know I have a specific place for my jeans, specific place for like tops and outerwear, like it's easy to just like go to that place and get what I need. So like it just makes things a lot easier, and I'm able to function better. Like I know like when my home is a mess and everything is out of its place, like it drives me crazy, and I feel like my mind is all over the place, and I can't focus. So like I feel like organizing is really important to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's definitely understandable. I can definitely relate. I love organizing, of course, as well. We're here, um, but yeah, no, I can definitely relate to like organizing since I was little as well, and so it's good to know of other people who are also along that same journey in terms of like they've started when they were younger, and like you said, who like who likes to organize, but
Right.
it's a thing that we like to do. So
Right. Yeah, I really enjoy it. Honestly, like just
yeah,
I look forward to days where I get to like, clean and fix everything and make sure everything is organized.
that's so good. That's good. And how often a week do you say that you do it? Like, is it like a weekly thing?
Yes, so like weekly, but also kind of daily because I like daily as well. Like not really like deep, like organizing a lot daily, but I make sure that everything is in its place. Like for example, at the end of the workday, I work from home, so I make sure that my desk, like my notebooks, planner, pens, everything that I've used, that I put it back in its place. Same thing with like outfits. Like if I wore something, like I put it in the hamper, or if something needs to be hung up, I make sure that I just do it daily. Just so it's easier that way to keep up with it. So like, 'cause I know for me, like when I have my off weeks or days where like I let things pile up, it's just a lot harder to put
Yeah.
everything back in its place, and it takes so long, and it's not ideal. So if I can do like keep up with it daily, that's what I try to do. And then I think weekly is when I have like when I try to make sure that I do like a deep clean, and that's when I make sure that everything is really organized and where it belongs. But I think daily is ideal for me.
Okay. Okay. Nice. And if you had to define organizing, like what would you say is your personal definition of organizing?
For me, I would say organizing is just having things like in its own place. Like it's different for everyone. Like for example, like a kitchen, like you have your seasoning cabinet, or you have things in specific places, but it may look different for everyone. So I would say that for me it's just like making sure that I have things where I need them, where it makes the most sense, and that everything is in order. My closet, that everything has its place, and however that may be, like however I choose to organize it, but just everything has its own specific place, and that you know it's tidy, and that I can find things that I need easily.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say organizing is to me.
Gotcha. Going back to kind of when you said that you enjoyed organizing since you were little and you organized your siblings' closets, would you say that you have a favorite room that you like to organize, or like is it closets or pretty
Yeah.
much any area? Yeah.
Any pretty much any area, but I think I really like organizing closets just because like that's one place where I feel like a lot of people, like their closets are not like you have a door, you close your closet door, like people don't really see your closet. So I think a lot of people like it's a mess. Their closets are a mess. My friends and family, like I've seen their closets look a mess, and I'm like, how do you like find anything? Like how can you choose your outfits when it looks like this? So like for me it's really important because I also like dressing up. I like I like fashion and making sure that I look nice when I'm going somewhere. So for me, like when my closet is organized, I can find everything easily. I can see everything that I have, and that it's easier to choose an outfit. So yeah, I would say I love organizing closets more than anything, and just having everything like. And it's also like I feel like closets give you more creativity,
Yeah.
like because we have so many different like clothing pieces, different types of shoes, like things that we wear more often than others. And so I think that like for me I can really play around with it and like figure out where to put certain things, and what makes the most sense. And I also like decluttering closets too, like just going through like I probably get rid of like things in my closet monthly. Like
Oh
I'll
wow.
go through this like if I haven't worn it in a while, or if it's something that I don't really like and I just have it, like I like decluttering and getting rid of them and donating them, and just
Yeah.
to make more room for things that I really do like, and making sure that everything does have its place, because overcrowded closet, you don't really have a place for everything, and that's when it can start getting a lot messier. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I try to keep my closet a lot more tidy.
Does that also mean that you replace it as quickly? Like as soon as things are gone and donated, do you also replace it just as quickly, or is it just like some time before you actually bring more things in?
It depends. I would say sometimes, so like sometimes I do like to like if I like if I do a shopping haul or something, like I like to get rid
Mhm.
of things like when I buy new things, like okay, I have like 5 gray sweatpants or for example, like and I
Mhm.
just bought another one, like I'll get rid of some. Like if I notice that I have too many of one item, like I'll get it like as I shop. But I also do like to go in and just like get rid of things and not really buy anything new. Like if it's something that I just don't wear, then I'll
Mm,
just get rid of it completely and not replace it. But if it's, more things that I wear more often, I usually try to replace them.
okay. And okay, so one more question related to the closet, and then we'll switch topics a little bit. But when it comes to your closet and working from home, like do you feel that because you enjoy your closet and enjoy just everything in your closet and organizing it in ways that best work for you, do you feel like you go in and pick out a different outfit every day, being that you work from home, or how does that kind of incorporate into organizing?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it definitely makes it a lot easier that so the way I have my things organized, like I have tops in one place, bottoms. So like I just go in and for the day when choosing my outfit, choose a bottom and then go in where my tops are and choose a top that coordinates that looks good with the bottom. So I think it definitely helps. Like I working from home, I don't really dress up as I used to in the office, which I do miss. Like
Yeah.
getting to put like really nice outfits, like casual wear together. So now, like working from home, I mostly wear like lounge wear,
Yeah.
but I still try to make it nice just because, I don't want to be in my pajamas all day. I don't want to be too comfortable. Like I still want to look presentable and
Yeah.
look decent to work. So I think it definitely helps because I still have things in its own place, and I can just go grab what I need for the day and just make sure that I still look good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's good. That's good. And so switching over to work, how do you incorporate organizing in your work schedule? Um, so even not just in your position that you have now as a data analyst, but in previous positions and in school when you went to college, how do you feel like organizing has been something that you've incorporated in that realm of your world, if you will?
Mhm. I think now I've definitely gotten a lot better when it comes to like making like incorporating and making sure that I do it a lot more often now that I work from home. Because like when I used to work in the office, I would say I like it was a lot harder just because like coming home from work, like with the commute and having a thousand things to do after work, I didn't really make it as much of a priority as I would like to. Like I mentioned before, that I do enjoy doing it daily. It was a lot harder to keep up with it daily, especially like if I come home and I'm really tired, like I don't really feel like putting my clothes up on the hanger or like putting it where it belongs. Like, I had a lot of days like that. But now I think I'm able to actually schedule in time and make sure that like, and even like during the workday, like if I want to take a small break and like clean up the kitchen or make sure that everything is put like the dishes back where they belong and stuff, I'm able to do that. So I think it's definitely a lot easier working from home. um in college, I was in college, like I since I didn't have my own apartment, I pretty much my room, it was just my room to keep organized, so it wasn't as difficult just because it was like a small space, and I didn't really spend much time in my room because I was always on campus, and I would just really go home to just sleep and then go back on campus and spend all day on campus. So there
Yeah.
wasn't really much there to do. But yeah, no, I think definitely working remotely has allowed me to really schedule in time and make sure that I make it a priority because I do have the time because I'm always home.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just like home organizing, do you feel like organizing transfers over into like what you do on a day-to-day basis when it comes to your job? So like as a data analyst, do you feel like organization is something that factors into that role specifically?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like organizing, I think it ties hand in hand with time management because with my current role, like I sometimes have like multiple projects that I'm working on at a time, and like I'll get a request for something that's urgent, even though I'm already working on something that's urgent. So it's like, how do I prioritize? Yeah, like how do I prioritize what's important because I'm getting all of these urgent requests, and they need to be done, and I need to figure out a way to make sure that I'm working on everything on top of my like, scheduled monthly productions and like team meetings, everything else I have going on. So for me, what I do is that I make a to-do list. Like I have a planner, like I'm old school. So I have a physical planner that I write like usually my day. I plan out my day. I write like all the things I have to get done for work, and I make it a point to like, list most like to prioritize like most urgent to least urgent, and I work on the most urgent tasks first. And so yeah, that's organizing. That's making sure that I organize everything that I have to do and then make a plan on how I'm going to accomplish it. And that way that I'm not, wasting time on something that's not as urgent, and I'm leaving everything else like on the back burner. And like I'll also like organize my work week. Like not so much, not just only the day, but like the work week. Like, okay, I have these 5 things that I have to work on. Like I can work on this day, and then this other thing that tomorrow, and just keeping everything like organized. And like I mentioned before, like it helps with like my mental health. Like when I know that I put everything down on paper and like I have a plan, like it makes everything like I'm not freaking out. I'm not going crazy. Like because I
Yeah.
don't know, I don't like my mind being cluttered. I don't like thinking about like everything that I have to do. So just writing it down, organizing it down on paper makes it a lot easier to just stick with stick with the plan, and like know that I'm gonna get to everything basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to your mental health, and you said that you don't like your mind to be cluttered. Can you walk us through a scenario of what that looks like a time when your mind does get cluttered? Like what does that look like for you? How would you say that you kind of like describe that, and how would you know when it's time for you to reorganize in a sense?
hmm I would say for me, like when my mind feels cluttered is when like I have a lot to do, a lot going on, and not really knowing, how I'm gonna accomplish everything, how I'm gonna get everything that I need to do, how am I gonna get it done? So it just feels like I have no control.
Yeah.
And I'm not too big on zodiac signs, but I'm a Capricorn, so I like being in control. Control and knowing that I have control over everything that I have to do and everything that I need. So when I feel like when I don't really know, like I have all these things that I have to do and I don't have a plan, I don't know how it's going to happen. Like I just feel crazy. Like I feel like I just can't think straight, and that I need to just like that's why I like making a plan. I like writing on my planner, okay, I have this to do, like, and just making a plan on how I'm going to accomplish it. So that's why I feel like when I put things on paper, organize it down on paper, like it makes my mind feel a lot freer. Like I don't have everything running through my mind because I have it down. I can go back to the planner, and I don't know, it just makes it easier. Like just I don't know. I would say like planning out my day just makes things a lot easier. And I also don't forget about certain things that I have to do, because I know when you have a lot going on, it's easy to just forget certain things and put things on the back burner, because certain things will occupy your mind a lot more.
Agree. I would definitely agree. And there's something someone said yesterday. I was watching a video, and they mentioned that we're, as human beings, we're too complex to try to keep everything up here. And so that's why we have like different tools and gadgets to help us remember things.
Mhm.
And one of those tools, like you just said, is like using your planner and using to-do lists to write things out and be able to have it to return back to. Because if we tried to keep everything up in our minds, I think we would go crazy.
Yeah, also for me, like when I'm stressed, when I have a lot, like I lose sleep, I can't sleep. So I think
Yeah.
it also helps with like everything else, like making sure that I get a good night's rest, and I'm not as irritable, because when I feel like my mind is cluttered, I get really annoyed easily. So it just helps me to be like a nicer, and yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. I can definitely see that being something that's the case. So when it comes to organizing overall, like, would you say that because you are someone who really likes to organize, do you feel like that's something that's kind of started rubbing off on like your siblings or family members and friends? No?
I think they try. They
Yeah.
definitely try, like when they see that, when they come over and my place is always like so organized and neat, like I think they try to like incorporate it, but I think it's just hard for them to keep up sometimes, just because like even my sister, like I have a younger sister who she recently graduated and she has her first big job, big girl job. She joined corporate America. So I was actually talking to her the other day because she likes to clean and she tries to keep her things clean, but it's really hard for her. It's really difficult for her to maintain it. So like whenever I go over like her closet, like she always has like a pile of clothes on the floor, and like things are always all over the place. And I think that's because like she doesn't really take the time like to make sure that she puts things back in their place. So I was actually talking to her, like I think it'll be a lot easier if, you, for example, when you come home from work and you just like put your clothes back where they belong, like it'll be easier to keep up with it versus like, just throwing it on the floor in the closet. And then by that time, like you have a pile by the end of the week, and then I think she gets frustrated because it's just a lot and she doesn't really want to put up with cleaning it. So yeah, I think she definitely tries, and she definitely takes a lot of tips from me. But it's hard because I feel like it's if you're someone that doesn't really like organizing, like it's not something that you're gonna want to do, like especially after a long day after work.
That's true. To go along with what you just said, sometimes there are people whose minds are wired differently than ours. Like because we like to organize, we know how like to kind of create homes for things, you know. But like you said, sometimes others may get frustrated because of the fact of they their brains and minds may not be wired in a way to be able to see things the way that we see it to create those type of organization tips and organizing systems to keep it and maintain it on a day-to-day basis, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so do you feel like your family members and friends call you in to help organize when they do kind of get in a bind, or do you feel like it's more so they just take tips that you offer and then they try to kind of manage the way that works best for them?
Mhm. So when I lived with my older sister, I would still like try to help her. Like she would seek me to go like organize her closet, and I still do it. Like whenever I go over their house, they live about like an hour and a half from me, so it's not as feasible now. But when I do go over, like I still go in and help them clean everything. So I don't think they really enjoy doing it on their own. They'd rather like I go and do it. So I did some the substance is something that I like. Whenever I go over, like I'm always willing to help them and help them figure out the best way. Like or they'll even like FaceTime me sometimes. Like oh like how should I organize this? Like how should I put or should I put these specific things in my closet? Like and I'll give them tips that way.
Love it. Love it. And so, being that it's something that has been a part of your life since you were so little, how do you feel like it came about? Like, what kind of sparked your interest in organizing and in it being something that you continue to love and enjoy and carry forward?
Mhm. Um, I don't think there's like a specific like thing that like drew me into organize
Mhm.
to love organizing. I think it's just like I've always been like this. I've always enjoyed just keeping a clean and neat space and making sure that everything has its own place. Um, I think it's just maybe goes hand in hand with like maybe feeling like liking being in control. Like when things are a mess, it makes me feel like I'm out of control. So
Yeah.
like having things in their own place and just making sure that I know where everything is, I know where everything goes. It just helps. Like it's just something that I've always enjoyed having that way. Like it's not. I don't think it's something that um that's something. I don't think anything specific happened that like caused me to enjoy it. And then I think like it's just like I said, I think it's the outcome. Just
Yeah.
making like I mentioned before, just having easy access to things, knowing where everything is. Like I think that's what makes me like still enjoy organizing and like just knowing that I know where things are, and like I don't have to like go through multiple different drawers to find something that, yeah, I think it just makes it easier. Just makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And hey, it never has to be a specific event in a sense that starts it. So it's good that it's kind of like that one, it's because the outcome, like how it makes you feel, how it also allows you to be able to find things more easily. And it's just something that kind of like happened over time in terms of you always enjoying it.
Hmm.
What would you say are some things that you enjoy, like some organizing systems, if you will, that you enjoy adding into your day-to-day life? So I know you said, like, for example, your planner and to-do list are things that you use, which I have a question about, like just the priority list, but we'll come back to that. When it comes to different organizing tips, like or tips and systems, what would you say are things that you use that you just enjoy outside of that planner and those to-do lists?
Hmm. I would say just having a like specific time. Well, not really specific, but just having like, for example, like I make sure before I go to bed, I tidy up the night before. So just having that time just makes it easier versus like if it was like random throughout the day, like it's easy. Like, when you have a routine and you have a specific time, like the way we're wired, it's easier to just stick to it. So I make sure before I go to bed, I tidy up, make sure everything is in its place, as well as I think just having a specific place for everything, or like, let's see, other systems do I use that help?
Like, do
Um,
you use labeling? Is that something that
I don't, just because I know, like, for myself, I know where everything is. So I don't think it's necessary for me, but I could see where like other people, like for example, if you live with a lot of people, like
yeah.
it would be helpful to use labeling. But since I live alone, I think I just know where I put everything. So I don't think that would be really necessary for me. Um, but yeah, I think for me the big thing is just having like a set time or like specific time throughout the day during the day that I make sure that I organize everything.
Okay. Okay. And so going back to the question that was related to like your priorities list. So one thing that I remember that you mentioned was sometimes during work you have urgent tasks already that you have, but then your job gives you more urgent tasks. How do you know which one to prioritize? Like, can you walk us through what that looks like, or just give us a scenario what that could look like?
Mhm. So first, I've been working on a report that I created at the end of last year, and it's a daily report that leadership really wanted that they wanted every day. So it's a daily report that, and since I've created that report, there has been like a lot of enhancements. So like pretty much almost every day, I get a request to add like a new variable to the report or add a new something else to the report that they want to look at. And plus, so that's something new that I've been working on. Plus, on top of my other assignments and productions and things that I get assigned, like ad hoc requests from my supervisor that I have. So I think for me to prioritize how like urgent it is, it depends on who it's coming from. And if they mention, like sometimes they'll mention, okay, I want this in the report by tomorrow, or I need like they'll give me a specific date or time frame. So if it's coming from like upper management, like not my supervisor, but above my supervisor, then I usually try to prioritize that because I know it's something that they really want right away.
Okay.
Um, so that's one way I prioritize which is more urgent than the other. And also, if it's something that, so some of our reports have specific dates that they need to go out by. So I have a monthly report that it has to go out by the 24th, but I usually start production a lot earlier than that, like 2 weeks before that, just because it takes a while to run, and in case there are any errors and we have to fix anything, like, we have to QC.
Yeah.
So I'll run that 2 weeks before. So if I get an error for that, like for example, this month I've already started running that production, and I found like two big errors that I have to work on to fix before I can send it out by the 24th. And it's the 15th, so it seems like it's still early, but so the report itself sometimes can take like 24 hours to run. Like the program itself, I mean, can take up to 24 hours to run. So sometimes if I make a change to the program, like if there's an error, I won't know until it's done running and I have to rerun it. So it takes a while. So for that, that's also like something that I have to prioritize, just because I know that it has to go out by a certain date. So just knowing basically to summarize, just knowing basically when the due date and also who the request is coming from is how I prioritize for work.
That's good. That's good. I
Mhm.
I feel like that can be helpful to just any listener, viewer who may have difficulty trying to prioritize maybe items that they also have at work. So those are definitely good tips, good pointers in the sense of how to prioritize too.
Mhm.
Well, when it comes to just organizing tips that you have overall, what is one organizing tip that you would give to the listeners and viewers that you would kind of say is like a top organizing tip that you would have for them?
Mhm. I would say honestly, like do what works for you. I think sometimes, a lot of the times, like, I'm guilty of it. I try to, with TikTok, like, there's people like showing different ways to organize. Like, some people buy the
Mhm.
seasoning, different seasoning jars, and they pour out all their seasoning and put labels in them. And, like I've tried doing things like that, things I've seen on TikTok or social media, try to copy them, but then it just becomes more of a hassle for me. So I would say just do what works for you. Like find a system that works for you, and don't try so hard to like imitate what someone else is doing just because like it looks nice, because I feel like that can create a lot more headache, and like it's harder to keep up with that system. Like, when you get a new seasoning, putting it in that, finding the jar and putting, like, I'd rather just have things like where I keep them, and
Yeah.
not try to like do too much. I think sometimes when we do too much, that's when it becomes a lot harder, and it's hard to keep up with it. So do what works best for you, and like find a good system, and also find like a time that works in your schedule. Like I know some people, you can't clean every weekend. Like people have different things they have on the weekend. You can clean and organize on the weekends, but maybe like splitting it out throughout the day. Like on Monday, you work on something, and Tuesday, something else. Like break it down into smaller jobs. That way, like it's easier to just like keep up with it and have like that set day, this is when I'm working on this. So that way you're not, you're not like getting double booked. Like for me, for example, like I think I used to try to like have like one day where like Saturdays would be like the days where I clean and organize everything, and then Saturday something would come up sometimes, and like I can't keep up with it, and I'm like, wow, like I really wanted to get this done, but like I have this other obligation, or like I'm going out of town this weekend and I can't really do it. So then, and that's when I started doing the like everyday thing, where like I do a little bit every day, and
Yeah.
then that way when Saturday comes, like I don't usually have much to do. So yeah,
That,
that would be my tip.
yeah. No, that's a good point. Those are good tips. Thank you so much for sharing them. Thank you for sharing them. And it sounds also like it took some trial and error in a sense to get to that. So I'm glad that you took the time to kind of like see one, you tried the TikToks, you tried what they were saying to do.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you found what works best for you. So there's always, like you just said, a way to go so that it's not something that you're uh, frustrating yourself by when you're
Mhm.
trying to do too much of something that doesn't work for you, you know?
Exactly, exactly. And we all have different some people live by themselves or some people have a family. Like so we can't be all the same. We can't do everything the same ways. You just have to find out like what is best for you.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, thank you so much for joining in as a guest, for being open to being a guest on the podcast. I did want to give you the opportunity to share, like, if people want to stay connected to you, how can they stay connected to you and just be able to get to know more about you and what you do, if you want to share that, or if they so choose.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, also email works fine for me.
Is there anything else related to organizing that we haven't touched on yet that you want to share?
No, I think nothing that I can think of right now.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you for joining in. And I look forward to just listeners and viewers being able to get so much from this episode. And I look forward to continuing to talk with you soon. Thank
Thank
you
you
again.
for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you again for you all tuning into today's episode of Organizing Untold. Again, this is a podcast where we feature busy business owners and those who work 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to help those in the same category who may not be as confident in their organizing journey just yet. And so, the reason that we bring on these guests who do feel confident in their organizing journey is to help those who may not yet be in that space in their lives, helping them to just be able to gain more insight from others and also organizing tips that they can be able to apply to their own journeys as well. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll be sure to link um, Barbara's Instagram, her Facebook, and her email address in the description box. And as I mentioned earlier as well at the beginning of the episode, there is a resources section in the description box that'll be at the top of the description box as well. And that is where you'll be able to find a link to our organizing tips and also a link to getting started with the organizing process of getting services through Nicely Placed Organizing. So, Organizing Untold is a segment of Nicely Placed Organizing, which is where we organize for first time homebuyers, borderline hoarders, and full time artists with art studios and workspaces. So, if you or someone you know is in need of organizing services virtually or in person, reach out to us at nicelyplacedorganizing.com. Click on the contact tab, fill out the form that's there at that tab, and then that form will come to us and we'll be sure to reach out to you. We look forward to getting to know you more, and be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with us there as well. So we look forward to talking with you soon, and thank you again for tuning in. We hope you all have a good day.